Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Since the premiere of the first episode of Season 3, we have the cast and directors and everybody's been hitting the interview circuits. Exciting!
Exciting stuff.
Jon Favreau has already confirmed multiple times Season 4 is in the works as they continue to expand the world that they've so far been building. We've got new adventures, we've got spin-off series, and while speaking with Entertainment Tonight, Pascal addressed his future as Din. He said as long as they keep writing it, he'll keep playing him. I mean, anyone can fit into the suit.
I was just going to say, how much does he really... And I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but how much does he really do? How often is he really, on set and in the suit?
As long as they don't show his face, he doesn't have to show up at all.
I mean, in theory, he doesn't ever have... As long as the helmet doesn't come off. And even if it did, you can, CGI it a little bit. I mean, he could probably just be in a studio once a season for a couple days, and that would be it. Because he says so little, too. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from him.
He's a man of few words, but what he says usually means a lot.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor. I take nothing away from him, but I do wonder how much he actually does, and how much credit the other guys in the suit should maybe be getting a little bit more credit for what happens, especially all the action scenes, because we know he's not in there for those.
I think they said one of them is mostly responsible for the action sequences, and the other one, I believe the Wayne, is actually the one who does most of the standing, walking around, the emoting, the talking.
Well, if you're related to John Wayne, you probably just have a...
natural swagger.
Yeah, it's in your DNA to have a walk and a look and a swagger about you, I think.
Well, co-star Katie Sackhoff also wants to keep exploring bo-katan. Staying around for Season 4 and absolutely beyond. She said she would. That's one of the joys of wearing a helmet. If there's a
she
stunt
doesn't
person,
have to be on set either.
Well, she says, if there's a stunt person outside her own skill set, you put someone else in there so she can keep playing Bo when she's 90.
In theory, yes.
So there's so much as Bo that she wants to do.
Did she just spoil a spin-off series? Bo-Katan, the later years? The golden years.
The golden girl.
The golden girl, yes. The golden Mandalorian. We got it.
She said she's got all these thoughts in her head from the animated show, and she'd love to share the screen with Ahsoka at some point.
Well, I think that will happen.
I feel like it's this season. I feel like Ahsoka's going to show up, and maybe they'll talk to each other and they'll put each other right.
Maybe that's what Bo needs right now. A little Ahsoka to be like, this isn't you. I know Bo-Katan, and this ain't it.
This ain't Bo-Katan. But how cool would it be to see them together? They had such a, we know that they've had time together going into Season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So I'd just love to see the two of them come back together after so much has changed in their lives.
No, I think it's inevitable. I think
they
it'll happen.
Clearly must keep in touch somehow if Bo knew where to find him.
Exactly. So they probably have talked in the recent history here in the Mandoverse time period.
All right. Moving on a little bit to Grogu, who audiences we first dubbed as Baby Yoda, and then it became known officially as the Child.
Nobody ever called it the Child outside of the show.
But Sackhoff revealed she usually calls him Baby G or Baby Grogu.
Baby G?
Baby G.
I prefer just Grogu at this point, I think. I think I'm on board the Grogu train.
Pascal shared that he likes calling him Little Man.
Okay. That's what a father probably would call... that's like a nickname for his son.
For his son, yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Says, I like that, Little Man, he said. It feels so good. It feels wonderful. I think it's even going to feel more wonderful for the audience that's going to be watching Season 3.
We'll see.
Maybe just a deeper father-son relationship between these two, between Finder and Foundling.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons to bring him back, right? To actually develop Grogu more.
I'd love to see Grogu develop beyond just the cute thing in the audience,
the cute thing that Mando protects and has...
We see do something quirky now and again?
Yeah, I mean, it's time to do more with him. You've brought him back. You've implied that Grogu has made a choice to be with Mando, so let's do something a little more than cuteness with it.
Pascal added the way that a parent-child relationship can develop and how those dynamics can shift, who's learning from who's protecting who's saving who, is something a little bit more up for grabs.
Well, we kind of know Grogu's going to be a bit more powerful, right? He's apparently trained with Luke for 2 years and unlocked his... he's been unlocking memories and skills, I guess.
2 years, 2 minutes. It's hard to say.
2 days, 2 minutes. It could have been... I lean towards the 2-day thing, but apparently he's been there for a while and learned a lot or remembered a lot, so Grogu should be a bit more burly. And we've talked before in a fun theory that here you have Jedi powers, kind of in an attachment setting. Where does that lead to?
Exactly. Well, Pedro has been enjoying his time in the sun. We've got The Last of Us going on, Mandalorian coming back. The Hollywood Reporter asked Dave Filoni if he gets tempted to write a little more Din showing his face. He says, yeah, I would say so, except it works so well. Part of his power is that despite the helmet, he comes through it. There's a real character and personality that he imbues it with, and the success that he's having doesn't surprise John and I at all. He's an incredibly talented person and a great person to collaborate with.
Yeah, I think we naturally put faces. I mean, that's a human thing, right? Mm-hmm. To see faces and everything, the man on the moon and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I think even when you have a character that is just a mask, you kind of put your own expressions onto it. I think people do that a lot with Darth Vader, for example. There are times you're like, I can see what he's thinking, but the mask hasn't changed at all. I mean, maybe the lighting is a little different. Yeah, it would be. Oh my God, Vader would be very creepy if the mask was moving around and stuff. But
oh boy.
So I do think we just naturally put it on there. And in some weird ways, you can almost argue it works better because then the audience is putting exactly what they think should be on there. If that makes sense.
Right, that makes sense.
Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Pascal's performance.
No.
But it works. Masks, for whatever reason, work.
The Hollywood Reporter continued asking the pair of directors there if they felt any pressure carrying the bulk of Star Wars live action while the Lucasfilm division figures out what the heck they've got going on.
Movies?
Yeah.
What? Are those still a thing?
When seeing Andor get so much praise, you think maybe it could have taken some weight off their shoulders?
Or the opposite.
But it seems Dave Filoni doesn't think about it like that.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander?
He said, I don't know, it's exciting, and Tony Gilroy did such a brilliant job with Andor. They're just fantastic stories, and it's great that it broadens the type of story that people could expect from Star Wars. So pressure, no pressure, there's always going to be pressure because we're dealing with something that so many people care about in Star Wars, and it's a real privilege to be a part of it. So you always want to do your best, and if anything, that's more pressure. It's just inspiring to see another team out there doing such great work. When the movies were happening and I was making Rebels, I could see all the creativity happening around me from so many different people, and what we have in common is that we love Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any more pressure. I think in a way because Andor received a different type of critical acclaim. I mean, Mandalorian has been praised by critics, and everybody's talked about how great it is. It's a global phenomenon, all these things, but Andor got a different kind of praise, right?
Yeah, because it's like a different genre within Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah, which is fine, which I think is healthy for the franchise. I know there's a big debate out there about Mando versus Andor, and probably going to do a video over on my channel about this a little bit. But again, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We can have different types of Star Wars, and I think that's a healthy thing for the franchise.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on a little bit, Katie Sackhoff did an interview with the Sith Council, with Christian Harloff, talking about kind of like her experience on set and everything. She just kind of jokes again about how at the end of season 2, when Grogu was picked up and saved for training, how she did think it was supposed to be Plo Koon, that she really believed Dave Filoni. She said, I really didn't know it was Luke. I've said this so many times. He wasn't there. They said it was Plo Koon. That's what Dave said, and everyone's like, well, he's dead. And I'm like, yeah, it's Star Wars. It wouldn't be the first time they bring someone back from the dead.
At least she even recognizes it.
But yeah, I think that's such a bait and switch, even amongst the actors and everything, to keep that hidden. It's brilliant.
I mean, go back to Empire Strikes Back. The number of people who knew that Vader was Luke's father during filming, who actually knew that, was very small. Star Wars has a long tradition, I think, of lying to its actors.
Didn't they say that even David Prowse didn't know?
No, he didn't even know. He said a different line. Because obviously James Earl Jones
comes back and does the
line, yeah.
When Sackhoff joined the cast in 2019, she could not even acknowledge how big the show would become. She said, it's weird, right? Growing up a Star Wars fan, I know for me what that meant. You always hope, but I've been let down in my career when moments people are like, this is going to be it. This is going to be the thing that's going to catapult you. And then it doesn't happen, so I'm used to these opportunities being like that. Just opportunities when nothing comes of it. So I just took it for what it was, which is how cool I'm in Star Wars. She had no idea it was going to blow up the way it did, and Now she is bo-katan again.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool that she gets to do that live action after doing it, in the studio as a voice actor for all those years. Mm-hmm. It's cool to be able to become that, really become the character.
I mean, what's funny is if you thought Grogu coming back, just randomly being back in season 3 of The Mandalorian was jarring for some audiences, apparently The Mandalorian season 3 started shooting before Book of Boba Fett premiered, so Sackhoff didn't even know what was going on when Grogu showed up on set with them. Yeah. Just they were filming the season, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
and then it makes sense, because eventually they saw, Book of Boba Fett, and they were told, but she says it came out of nowhere. She had no idea, and all of a sudden she's like, what's Grogu doing here?
Disney said bring him back.
Yeah.
Totally didn't happen, right?
She praises the trailer that came out with the football game. She said it made complete sense to kind of help remind people that he's there, I guess.
Or tell them if you hadn't seen Book of Boba Fett. And I think as Star Wars fans, we sometimes don't realize that that's not something... I mean, there are a lot of I've talked about it before, there are a lot of just Mandalorian fans. They watch that. They don't care about the rest of Star Wars. They're not watching YouTube videos. They're not doing any of that. And there were definitely some surprised people when season 3 premiered. Even with the trailers and stuff that they showed, not everybody even sees that much. So
here's an off-the-wall fun fact for you. You know the one who plays Casca Reeves, Mercedes Monet?
Yeah.
I totally didn't put it together that she's Sasha Banks from WWE.
What?
Yeah, she is Sasha Banks from WWE, one of the renowned women fighters.
Yeah, well, I guess someone doesn't pay as much attention as I thought they did. Now I'm disappointed in you. No.
Oh, come on, you didn't know.
Yes, I did, actually.
Oh.
You can go back. I got videos on the other channel that talks about
so it's
talks
just
about that.
Me who didn't know.
You're alone in this one. I knew that.
Maybe one person
ago.
who's watching this didn't know that.
Maybe.
Well, it's just crazy because we have Cara Dune from MMA, and then we have Sasha Banks from WWE. It's crazy.
Yeah. Get some real professional fighters.
People who actually know what they're doing when it comes to the physical nature of the roles they play. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I always thought, Gina Carano, her fight scenes had a little bit more,
realism
impact.
To them, yeah.
Because she actually does know how to fight. It's not like she's being trained to go through these motions. She knows how to fight.
Well, we saw in season 2, when we reunited with Bo, how she was hesitant about taking the Darksaber from Din. If, she didn't win it in combat, Sackhoff said, that's the thing that a lot of people online, people who've watched the Clone Wars and Rebels were like, but she's taken it before. She has. And that shouldn't be a criticism. That should make you question, why did she take it then, and why isn't she taking it now? You have to think differently and go, wow, why wouldn't she take it now? We saw her take it as a gift. Okay, something's changed, something is different.
Yeah, she realized it has to be earned.
Mm-hmm. She really has grown. For someone who has claimed in this first episode that she is not superstitious, she didn't touch that that lightsaber. She wouldn't touch it.
Well, she knows, like, the last time I took... I mean, even just the symbolic, what other Mandalorians are going to think. So someone gave it to you again? Oh, yeah, we're really going to follow you. Look what happened last time someone gave it to you.
Right? The whole planet
our planet got
glassed and poisoned, and
we're all scattered across the galaxy. Yeah, let's follow you again after not earning the Darksaber.
Great.
Yeah.
And lastly, the actress confirmed that the season didn't only use the volume; they also shot on location. The castle we actually meet her in episode 1 is in the Scottish Highlands.
That's a real castle?
Well, probably not that exact castle, but they did travel to the Scottish Highlands.
That's cool. I'm glad because I think, as I've discussed before, I think sometimes the volume is a little too heavily relied on, and it just...
Because the volume isn't big enough for some of the big scenes you want.
Yeah.
So it feels like you have to take all these small shots, and it just kind of looks a little cluttered sometimes.
It does feel like you're... I think the lighting is the thing that is the worst on the volume, if you want my honest opinion. The lighting just never looks right on the volume. You can tell it's artificial light when you're supposed to be, like, on Tatooine. Anyway.
All right. She went on to kind of describe her shooting experience. She said, no, it's location as well. That's what I loved about Andor. I think the volume is a phenomenal tool. It allows creators to do something they otherwise wouldn't be able to do.
Agreed.
But I think there's something special about seeing a real location.
Also agreed.
Listen, there are many times where I can't tell. I had to do a scene this season where I'm flying a ship, and the volume, it was like playing a video game, and the volume was pre-done. So I'm literally having to move the ship as the thing is... So I'm learning the way the ship is flying with the volume. And we did it so many times, but the crew can't stand inside because it makes them nauseous.
I want to play a video game on the volume.
Oh, can you imagine that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Now that would be I mean, granted, it's like pre-rendered apparently, but I'm sure you could rig it up for some really cool video game action.
I bet you're right. That could be really cool.
And on that note, I think that's all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.